and welcome back, folks. This is U.S. Home Talk, our second show. Very excited to be here. Thanks for tuning in, whether you're seeing us live on Facebook or YouTube, or if you're catching it later on one of our podcast platforms. We do appreciate it. We got a big show planned this morning. Jason Walgrave here with Walgrave Real Estate Group and the Minnesota Real Estate Team at RE/MAX Advantage Plus. We have Mortgage Mike Ouverson here with Luminate Home Loans. Mike, good to see you.
Good to see you, Jason, as always.
As always. Marcus Walgrave with Hague Realtors. He is off this week, but we'll be back next week, so we're looking forward to that as well. Apologize for the tardiness. We were a little late this morning. Of course, we've got our new podcasting studio. We've got some kinks to work out yet, but I think we're doing all right.
Yeah.
It's hot in here.
It's a little hot in here. And Mother Nature, so those of you that follow us, we're here in Minnesota. We're in Eagan, Minnesota right now, just right outside of Minneapolis. Mother Nature threw another curveball at us late last night this morning. We had about, a quarter-inch ice or so on the roads this morning. So schools actually got not necessarily called off. A lot of schools up here went 2 hours late and then said, hey, we're still going to do school, but it's all going to be distance learning at home. Because the roads were an ice skating rink. And we're probably going to see videos of kids literally ice skating down our streets probably later today because of it. So it was an interesting ride here.
So this is now our second show, of course, and our second challenge in getting here and making it happen, right?
Yep.
So the ice skating thing this morning, I almost put the kids in their ice skates and sent them down our cul-de-sac, but I just had them sharpened.
Yeah, you don't want
skate sharpened.
That would have dulled them too much for sure.
I decided against it. Folks, best way to get a hold of us anytime is, of course, Facebook.com. You can watch our shows live every week. You can watch all the past shows. You can go to ushometalk.com. That is our website. We are on all the podcasting platforms, iTunes, Spotify, and we've got some fantastic information as well. We got a big show this morning. We're talking about a couple different things. We're going to be talking about why you should not listen to the news or the media or the newspaper. And we'll be talking about why we feel that way and give you some information about the real estate market, what's going on, what you've heard, what is in the media and the news that isn't necessarily accurate. We'll be talking about what the market is like right now for us, how we ended 2022 and how the first week or two here of 2023 has started off. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about, and we might even go into most expensive mistakes that you're making on your home. We'll see how the timeline works out. We have a real estate hotline number, folks, that is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can call or text. The number is 612-234-7585. That is our text line and our call line. So you can call or text that 24 hours a day. This morning, we're giving away 2 pair of Minnesota Timberwolves tickets. If you'd like to go to a T-Wolves game, you can simply text in your real estate question, or you can go to Facebook.com, and in the comments, you can ask the question there. The 2 best questions are going to win a couple pair of T-Wolves tickets, and I think they're doing better.
They are doing better.
Kind of a roller coaster with the T-Wolves.
They did pick it up lately, which is nice. It's one of those things. They got all the talent in the world. They just got to figure out. It's like Tetris right now, right? Where do we put these pieces together to make the best team? I mean, I still think they have enough talent to be one of the top teams in the league. Again, it's just figuring out how to play together.
So speaking of sports real quick, last weekend, of course, folks, many of you know that I went to NDSU, the Bison in Fargo, North Dakota, one of the great universities in the world. And Mike, he went to a different university. What was that one called?
The better one. It's south, so it's warmer there too. So not only is the weather better where I went to, but South Dakota State is where I went.
And what happened this weekend? There was a national championship game.
National championship game for football, and the South Dakota State Jackrabbits got their first national title and beat NDSU Bison.
Was that their first title?
It's their first title.
Well, that's pretty incredible. And what better win than over the Bison, who have won quite a few over the last decade.
They've gone to the title game 10 out of the last 12 years.
Really?
And they've won 9 of them.
Holy smokes.
I believe is what the number is. So NDSU is, they're like they're kind of like Alabama right? Over the last decade.
Sure.
They just have the dynasty going. And so that's what just makes it that much sweeter too, because NDSU year in and year out, it's just, they got the target on the back. They're the team to beat. And so SDSU was finally able to do that in the championship game this year. So it was good.
Did they beat them earlier in the season too? I think they did.
They did. Actually, this is four games in a row now that we have beaten NDSU.
Holy smokes.
So you go through the last 2 years.
Yeah.
We've played them 4 times in the last 2 years or 3 years, and we've beat them now 4 times in a row.
Oh, you've got our number.
So
you've got our number. Folks, if you'd like to go to Timberwolves game on us, we've got 2 pair of tickets we're giving away. You can go to facebook.com, go to US Home Talk. In the comment section, ask your real estate questions, or you can text in your questions. We have a real estate hotline number, a call and text number. That number is 612-234-7585. And we'd like to know what your questions are. Anything and everything real estate related. We'll get your questions answered, and the 2 best questions today will win 2 pair of tickets to the Timberwolves game. Folks, again, best way to get a hold of us anytime is our website, ushometalk.com. Go to facebook.com, search US Home Talk. Please subscribe, and we'll keep you updated on all the things we have going on. All right. The real estate market in let's talk about Minnesota. A real estate market in Minnesota, we want to caution our listeners and our followers. We want to caution you on what you believe what you read in the newspaper or online or you hear on the news. I feel like there's more doom and gloom in the media than ever before. And they've been talking about how terrible the real estate market is going to be in 2023 and how bad things are. And that isn't what we're seeing, and that's not what we believe.
Well, that's not what gets the eyes, right?
Right.
So media is based on they make their money by getting eyes and attention, right? Typically, and it's human nature, typically what happens when you throw something negative out there, typically gets more attention, gets more people commenting on it, gets more people talking about it. Good news, obviously good news is great. Yeah, you get some people talking about it, but not as much when you have some sort of drama or some sort of bad news, right? And so that's what we want to talk about today because, again, what you hear in the media usually has some sort of negative spin to it because that's what gets the eyes on it.
It's kind of human nature, right? I mean, that's a reason why when people drive by a car accident, everybody looks, and so we understand why they do it, but let's talk about what's really going on in the real estate market here in the Twin Cities. And I think Marcus, he can attest to this next week when he's back on, but Sioux Falls market is very similar to the Twin Cities market. And so we can confirm that with him, but here's what we're seeing. The last 2 weeks of 2022, so last 2 weeks of December, that's generally our team's slowest time of the year. It's kind of like we get to take a break, especially between Christmas and New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. There's we got a week off, nothing's going to be happening. I can tell you that the last 2 weeks of December 2022 was the busiest last 2 weeks of December for me and my team in the last decade. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was nuts. I personally had 5 different buyers out between Christmas and New Year's Day that are out looking at houses. People, I think buyers, especially if they've been listening to our show, I think buyers know there's an opportunity right now that there will likely not be if you wait until spring. We've been talking about that for the last few months. This spring market, we believe, is going to be similar to last year's spring market, where you got multiple offers. You got crazy stuff going on with how you have to write the offer if you want a chance to win that deal. And now, because the market's a little bit slower overall, there's opportunity. Sellers are now willing to look at paying closing costs. They're willing to make repairs. They're willing to look at concessions. And there's, I think, great opportunity for buyers right now that's going to change in the spring, because I think that the demand is going to continue to really, spring and summer are the most active or the hottest part of the market. And I think that's coming. And so if you're a buyer right now, we want to talk to you. We want to talk about what your goals are. Even if you're thinking about buying in the summer or fall, that's okay. Let's get you positioned right now so that when you're ready, if something comes up in a month, you can make that, you can act, and we can get you an opportunity.
Yeah, I think real estate and values of real estate or home prices is much more predictable than trying to predict interest rates, because it's all supply and demand, right? That real estate is heavily the prices and the trends of real estate is heavily dependent upon supply and demand. We look at our supply this year, our amount of active listings right now, we're sitting at, what do you think here in the metro area, the 11 county metro?
We're probably at 7,500.
7,500 homes, right? You look at the last 4 or 5 Januaries. This will be like the 5th January in a row where we're going into January with somewhere between 5,500 and 8,000 listings.
Yep.
So over the last 5 years, it's been as low as 5,500 going into January. It's been high as about 8,000. We're sitting at 7,500 right now. Look at the last 5 springs. What has happened? They're all the same. They're identical to each other. So what's going to happen this spring? It's going to happen again, right? And we're identical to each other. So what's going to happen this? So that's why we were talking about now's the time to buy, because once we get past the Super Bowl and we get into March, you're going to see it all. There's a ton of buyers sitting on the sidelines right now. There's a ton, and a lot of them are pre-approved. So not only people just looking, people that are pre-approved and looking at homes that are just sitting on the sideline right now, they're going to all jump in at the same point, and we're going to see the same spring that we saw last year.
So I'm going to give you a great example of buyers that we helped out. Just had a closing for them last week. We found a property in the South Metro. This is a new construction home. It was a home that was listed in, April of 22, listed at $469,900. It was a to-be built. They finished it sometime in that October or September, October range. We were able to purchase that home for $414-ish with closing costs paid.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a brand new home in Lakeville. So you're talking about a $50,000 plus discount in a new home. I really believe that same home this spring is going to be $450 all day long. So you've got an opportunity out there. You've got builders that are willing to negotiate. They're willing to throw in a lot of extras. Maybe it's upgrades, maybe it's finishing the basement, maybe it's closing costs, maybe it's rate buy down. We're seeing a lot of builders offer rate buy down opportunities. And so for buyers, this couple, they were originally thinking they wanted to buy something in the summer of 23. And then we got them pre-approved with you, Mike. We started taking a look at the market, what opportunities are out there. This one came up, and it made sense to act sooner rather than later.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and people are like, well, and we're going to talk about that here a little bit, right? Because they hear from either non-professionals in the industry or they hear in the news that, home prices are probably going to be coming down because of where interest rates are at, and because the low activity as far as sales and stuff goes is definitely not the case, but that's causing people to sit on the sidelines. Again, perfect example here. It's like for the people that listen to their local real estate professionals, because our market here probably different than Phoenix. Mm-hmm. Our market up here is probably different than what's out in New York, or Florida, but that's why you talk to your local professionals. And in this case, made perfect sense for this first-time home buyer couple. And they saw the huge savings they could get right now.
And it was a great savings, great deal. Here is, I want to pull up a quick example that I saw this morning, because I think the media focuses on interest rates, and just hammers down that more than anything else. So here was the example I saw this morning. Buying a house 6 months ago compared to today. Okay, buying a house 6 months ago compared to today. 6 months ago, list price is $450. Today, list price is $450. 6 months ago, sale price is $500, because you got to go in and you're in multiple offers. You got to offer way more than asking price. Today's sale price, $425 in this example. That's a $75,000 difference in sale price. 6 months ago, you're putting 10% down. Same thing today, 10% down. Okay, 6 months ago, 4.5% interest rate. Phenomenal interest rate. It's great. It's exciting. Today's interest rate is 6.5. But you're paying $75,000 less. So what's the difference in payment? 6 months ago's payment with the 4.5% interest rate, $3,028. Today's $3,053.
Mm-hmm.
$3,053. So just because the interest rates are higher, you're likely going to be able to pay less for that house today because you're not in the multiple offers. The prices aren't being driven up due to that. And you can ask for an inspection if you want. And you can ask for the seller to make some repairs if there's issues. And they're likely going to do that.
Right. And then if you buy today, your price is $75,000 less, right? Well, it's not like you got to ride out a 6.5% interest rate for the entire 30 years.
Right.
Guess what happens when rates go down? You can refinance to the lower rates. The problem is you can't go back. So if you pay $500,000 for a house today that was listed at $450,000, when home prices go down, you can't go back and get $75,000 back in your pocket. You
It's
paid
a
that money
win-win
already.
too, because even if rates don't ever go down,
Yes.
if they go up, then you're at the lower rate anyway.
Right.
So
that's a great point.
yeah, I might be stuck with this 6.25% interest rate, but if you think that rates are going to go to 8 over the next 10 years or whatever, like they were back in the early 90s, well, congrats, you won.
Yeah,
Yes.
you won,
and
there
you
too.
got the house cheaper.
Right. Yeah. So there's so many factors that go into it. So again, don't believe everything you hear out there. Again, talk to your local professionals because they're going to give you the real on it, and they'll be upfront with you. And then if it makes sense, great. It makes sense.
Folks, we best way to get a hold of us anytime is our website, ushometalk.com. Go to facebook.com. You can find all of our past shows. We're giving away a couple pair of Timberwolves tickets this morning for the 2 best real estate questions. You can text in your questions to 612-234-7585. That is our text line and real estate hotline number. You can call or text anytime. 2 best questions are going to win a pair of Timberwolves tickets on us. And again, that number is 612-234-7585. Go to facebook.com. In the comment section, you can ask questions there as well. Both ways give you a chance to win. All right. You sent me over a fantastic email yesterday, some great information.
Yeah. So this goes along with kind of the media stuff, right? So what we have here is we got media headlines that came out. So every single one of these headlines came out from CNBC's senior real estate correspondent, Diana Olick.
Super reliable.
So right. So these headlines are straight from CNBC's senior real estate correspondent. Okay. So it was the headline and then what happened after the headline. Okay. So for example, October of 2015, one of the headlines she put out says housing today, a bubble larger than 2006. What happened after that headline came out? What happened the next 6 to 12 months after that headline came out? Home prices went up 5.1%. So your appreciation went up 5.1%. Mm-hmm. Her headline would lead you to believe that 2006 home values declined anywhere between 20 and 40%, depending on what part of the country you're in. Yeah. That headline in October 2015 would lead you to believe that home values and home prices are going to go down 20% or more. They actually went up 5.1%. Mm-hmm. Okay. So August of 2016, headline says we're in a new housing bubble. Okay. So what happened the next 6 to 12 months after that headline came out? Home prices and home appreciation went up 5.4%. Okay. November of 2017, home ownership doesn't build wealth, study finds. Okay. What happens with home appreciation after that? The next 6 to 12 months, it went up 6.1%. So it doesn't build wealth, but if you bought your median sales price home back in November 2017, over the next 12 months, you gained $20,000 in appreciation. Yep. You gain $20,000 in wealth. September 2018, it's better to rent than to buy in today's housing market. What happened? Home appreciation went up 4.1%. So if you didn't buy a house because of that headline back in September 2018, you just missed out on $14,000 worth of appreciation in the next 12 months. July 2019, the housing market is about to shift in a bad way for buyers. So again, that would lead you to believe you buy a house today, it's going to be worth less in 6 to 12 months from now. Home prices, again, appreciation went up 4%. December of 2019, next year will be hard on the housing market, especially in these big cities. So what happened in 2020?
Yeah.
Home values, home appreciation up 16% over the next 12 months after that headline came out. Okay. And the last one on my list here, July 2021. Housing boom is over. New home sales fall to pandemic low. So what happened with home appreciation then from July of 2021 to July of 2022? Appreciation went up 18% in that 12-month span. Wow. So if you go back all the way to October of 2015, right? And you saw that first headline and then you didn't buy because of that headline. And then in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, go all the way down the line. If you didn't buy because of what you're seeing in the news, you just lost out on a potential $222,000 of appreciation on your home.
Yeah. 222 grand because you listen to the news.
Right.
You know, I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine a couple days ago, and he was talking about buying a property out in Utah and in a new development, new neighborhood. And he thought, man, I don't know. I feel like it's overpriced. And I said, well, how long are you going to stay there for? Well, a very long time. And he said, okay, well, let's talk about that. Even if you did, in this example, overpay for it right now and today, and that was, you know, debatable. But even if you did overpay it, you're going to be there for 10 plus years, right? So you're going to make that up in the next year and a half anyway with historical appreciation in that area. So those are just some additional questions to ask. We always ask buyers, prospective buyers that we're working with, how long you think you're going to stay there? Because that's a big deal. If it's, I'm moving next year, well, we should talk about different options. Maybe buying's not the right option. Or if it's, you know, we're going to be here for a while. Our kids just started school. We plan to have them in this school district until, you know, they're finished with school. So we want to dig deeper. We want to find out, you know, kind of what's going on in the next 5 to 10 years. But in this example, you know, if you listen to the news, it costs you 222 grand.
Lost out big time. Plus all the tax savings you get along the way.
Yes.
That doesn't even take that into consideration. Yeah. So the other thing too is you're talking about, Jason, there's always a time component. Anything dealing with money, there's a time component, right? So even if your plan is like, look, I want to buy my first house now. It's a townhouse. I might only be there for 12 months, but my plan is to keep it rented out and then move up. Great. Now's a great time to buy. Even if you're only going to live there for 12 months, if your plan is to keep that house, now we're setting yourself up for the future. Now we know what your plan is. Now we can position you correctly to make those goals happen.
I mean, that's always the question about overpaying, though, is like, you know, if you're overpaying, let's say by 10%, a lot, right?
Yep.
On this $300,000 house, you would have paid $330,000 in 2015 at the start of this chart. Well, within 2 years, you've basically recouped that. And every year after that, you're past it.
Yes.
So if you're planning on staying in a place a long time and you really like the place, overpaying doesn't really hurt you in the long term.
It doesn't hurt you in the long term. And then you compare it to renting, you know, and all the additional benefits that you get when you own, you know, your tax benefits, your principal buy down, your forced savings. I mean, all of those things come into play. You mentioned renting the place out. I mean, we've had more first-time home buyers in the last 5 years come to us with that question. Here's what we're looking for, and here's the house price range. Oh, and what will it rent for? Because their plan is they're going to stay there for a couple of years. They're going to keep it, and then they're going to rent it out. So we're running two analysis with a cost to own the house and live in it, and then what the rental income will likely be because it's going to be a future investment property. And which is wonderful that first-time home buyers are thinking about that.
Absolutely. The other thing too is move-up buyers now. Move-up buyers are actually in a great position. And you say, well, why is that? I mean, a lot of move-up buyers probably refinanced when rates were at 2.75 or 3%. So now on their house that they have now, isn't it tough for them to give up the 3% 30-year fixed and go to where rates are at today, 6.25 to 6.5? It is. But if they're planning on keeping their house at 3% because rents have gone up so much, they're additionally cash flowing $400 to $500 on that type of property. So now you have the income from that property to offset the higher payment by where the interest rates are at now on the new one you're going to buy. So numbers wise, if you're going to keep both properties, you're actually in the same boat.
Oh yeah, that's a great example. We had a client this fall that had a townhome that they were living in. They had a really good interest rate on it. They outgrew it. Only been there a couple of years, but they outgrew it. Needed a single family house. Well, they were able to cash flow nearly $800 a month, which they applied to the new house, even though the interest rate was higher. A lot bigger house, whole different setup for the family, and it was, I think it was a $150, $200 net difference. But they went from their townhome. Now it's cash flowing $800 a month. They applied that to the new house, and now they're in a lot bigger house, a lot bigger setup for only an extra $150 a month because you're leveraging the real estate that you currently have and that low interest rate, using that to buy other stuff.
So now let's talk about the supply out there too, because then that's the other thing. A lot of people are like, well, these builders, it's a bunch of builders that have inventory out there. It looks like they're wanting to, make some deals and get rid of that inventory. So now is there a glut of inventory out there? No, because now we have a chart pulled up on our end of it's the homes built by decade.
Yes.
Right. So the amount of homes built per decade. So if you go all the way back to this one here, 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and then 2010 to 2020. We go back to 1970 to 79, 25.8 million homes built. 80 to 89, 25.2 million homes built. 90 to 99, 26.7 million homes built. 2000 to 2010, 27.1 million homes built. 2010 to 2020, 5.8. 2000 to 2010, there was 27.1 million homes built. In the next decade, 2010 to 2020, only 5.8.
That's like 80% less
That's
homes
fifth.
built.
It's a fifth of what was built the
Yes.
previous decade. So now you look at inventory, you're not building existing homes, right? You're only building new construction homes. When that many new construction homes or that few of new construction homes are built in a decade, when your previous 4 decades were anywhere between 25.8 and 27 million,
Yep.
there's not going to be a glut of inventory.
No, there's not. And I think that, this is an important chart because we've heard the comments over the last couple of years. Oh, it's, home prices are going up because of COVID, or because of this or because of that. And, the supply is so low because of COVID. And well, no, the supply is low because for 10 years, there was 80% less homes being built in the United States.
Yep.
That's why the supply is low.
Right.
That's not going to change in the next year. And we're not going to see, I think the amount of homes for sale in 2023 throughout the whole year is going to be similar to what it was in 22 and 21 and 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind, folks. There's great opportunity out there. Best way, of course, folks, to get a hold of us anytime is our website, ushometalk.com. Go to facebook.com. You can see all of our past shows. We'll have them all on there. We're on all the podcasting platforms, Spotify, iTunes, all of them. And I think we have a list of those on our website as well. We're giving away a couple pair of Timberwolves tickets. You can go to Facebook in the comment section. Folks, make sure you subscribe. Go to ushometalk.com. Ask questions in there. We'll give away a couple pair of tickets to the 2 best questions, or you can text in your questions to 612-234-7585 is the text line. Call or text that number 24/7. That number again is 612-234-7585.
We did have a text question come in here. This one is from Jerry. Jerry asks, looking to list my house here sometime in the next 2 months. Do I list it now, or am I better off waiting?
Yeah, so that's a
What do you
great
think?
question.
What do you think, Jason?
So I think that if you're a seller and you go on the market right now today, you're likely going to have less competition. There's going to be less sellers. Minnesota, there's just less listings on in the winter. I think that, but there's a lot of buyers out there looking, right? They're looking for those opportunities. Spring market, we've set up for many, many years is like the week after the Super Bowl, which is that second week in February. The spring parade of homes starts first part of March. So I think it's really critical to have your home on the market then. But now you have an opportunity to get it listed, get it in front of the buyers that are seriously looking. The buyers that continue to look throughout the winter, I think, are serious buyers. And so I think there's a great opportunity.
So my question for Jerry would be, what's your next move? Because are you selling and then buying something different, or are you selling and not buying something different? Because your next play comes into this too. So if you're going to be waiting to list your house, but then you're also waiting then as a buyer to jump in the market as a buyer, how much more competition as a buyer are you going to run into with other buyers jumping in the pool later versus earlier?
Yeah.
So that would be my question for Jerry is, what's your next play? Because I think if your next play is to buy another house here, I think you do it sooner than later.
Yep, I agree.
To be honest with you,
I agree.
if the plan is maybe just to sell and then you're moving to a different market or moving somewhere else or whatever the case may be, then maybe wait.
Yeah. Well, and you guys have some programs that we've used over the years, whether it's bridge financing or it's, a lot of our buyers have discovered that they have the ability to buy without selling their current house. And so let's take a look at that example. And, and then folks say, well, I've got all this equity, right? I've got all this equity in my current house and I want to use that to the house that I'm buying. Well, there's a solution to that too. There's recasting that you guys offer.
Yeah. So we got literally a list of 7 different ways that we can take that person who has a house now and has a bunch of equity in that house and use it as leverage so that they can get to their next house without selling their current home. And it really depends on what their abilities are. Do they have large retirement accounts that we can do a loan against? Do they have family members that can gift them money? Can we do a bridge loan for them? There's a bunch of different ways to do that. We can do a first and a second on the new house. We can recast the new house. There's a bunch of different options for that. And so really there's not a one size fits all in that thing. It's really dependent upon that buyer's characteristics. So once we have an application, we see all the moving parts. We say, okay, here's what your options are. Let them choose.
We also have opportunities for sellers. We have instant cash offers. We have sell now and move later options. So we've got some great partnerships out there that really fits whatever your need is as a seller and wonderful options as a buyer. Folks, the best way to get a hold of us anytime is Evan's looking at me funny.
Evan's got
He
a
just
thought
keeps
here.
going.
Yeah.
He just keeps going. We had another question come in, but yeah,
I'm sorry.
go ahead. Give the text line. You can reach us at Minnesota. USHometalk.com.
US Home Talk.
And our Facebook page.
And our Facebook text line is 612-234-7585. Call or text anytime, 612-234-7585. I feel like I'm just a little off quite, with this new studio.
Yes.
I can't really see Evan like I used to. So
I just think you're just generally just a little off regardless.
well,
Yeah.
that's a fact.
We had one more question come in today before we wrap up. Andy wanted to know, what are some of the common items that you can't inspect on a home in winter? Obviously, air conditioning is kind of a key one that you can't really confirm it's not working. Are there other items that you should be looking out for on a winter purchase?
There is. I mean the roof, right? I mean, right now they're mostly snow covered. So anything exterior, if you've got an irrigation system, the landscaping,
What does it look like when there's not 2 feet of snow on top of it?
what's the grass look like? What's the side look like? Pools.
The grade, grading, is there any grading issues outside? That type of stuff.
It's a really good question. And so there's certainly additional questions you can ask the seller. You can get confirmation from the listing agent and the seller that, those items, that there's nothing wrong with them. Those should be included anyway on the disclosure, but great question. There's certain things you can't check. It just requires additional questions for the seller. All right, Evan's giving me the wrap it up signal. We should have got some music. That's nice. All right, folks, we appreciate you tuning in. We'll be back next Wednesday at noon, every Wednesday at noon via Facebook and YouTube Live. Best way to get a hold of us, of course, is on our website or the social media platforms, ushometalk.com, our real estate hotline number. Call or text anytime, 24 hours a day, 612-234-7585. Again, 612-234-7585. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great week.